Look closely at the corner of your particle board desk, past the dual monitors radiating a relentless 6,500 Kelvin glow, and the tangle of charging cables that resemble a nest of electronic vipers. There, in a ceramic pot that has become a graveyard for discarded staples and coffee ring, sits a specimen of Hedera helix, the common English ivy. It is, by all traditional metrics of the 2026 corporate landscape, a failure. Its leaves are edged with a brittle, sepia-toned sorrow. Its vines are leggy and desperate, reaching toward a window that has been frosted over for privacy and focus. To the management software tracking your keystrokes and pupil dilation, this plant is an inefficiency, a decorative oversight. But to us, here at Quiet Collapse, this dying office ivy is something far more potent. It is a botanical insurgent. It is a silent master of Stoic resistance, teaching us how to remain human in an era designed to process us into data. The ivy is a living paradox. It exists within the sterile logic of the modern open-plan workspace, yet it rejects every fundamental tenet of that logic. Our offices are built on the cult of the new, the constant update, the frictionless pivot, the hyper-monitored sprint. We are told that to be valuable is to be visible, to be loud, and to be perpetually on. Yet the ivy operates on a timeline that predates the first spreadsheet and will outlast the final server crash. It maintains an internal rhythm that is utterly indifferent to the 2026 push for hyper-productivity. While your Slack notifications demand an instant response and your project management software tracks your output in microseconds, the ivy is engaged in a different kind of work. It is slowly, painstakingly turning photons into carbon, oblivious to the urgent quarterly review. This refusal to participate in the performative hustle is the ultimate act of quiet rebellion. The ivy does not lean in. It does not optimize its growth for maximum ROI. It simply persists. In its slow-motion decline, it reveals the absurdity of our own frantic pace. To understand the ivy's resistance, we must first analyze the architecture of artificiality that surrounds it. The modern office is a masterpiece of hostile design, a vacuum disguised as a playground. We breathe recycled air that has passed through the lungs of 1,000 weary middle managers. We bathe in blue light saturation that tricks our pineal glands into a state of permanent, anxious noon. This environment was not designed for biological flourishing. It was designed for data processing. Every ergonomic chair and collaboration zone is a calculated attempt to extract the maximum amount of cognitive labor from a biological vessel. The psychological drain of this is immense. We feel a sense of quiet collapse, not because we are weak, but because we are biological organisms being forced to live as digital components. The ivy, however, frames its survival not as a struggle against this artificiality, but as a masterpiece of adaptation. It doesn't complain about the lack of sunlight. It stretches its remaining green cells to capture the flickering ghost of an overhead LED. It doesn't lament the dry, conditioned air. It thickens its cuticle to lock in what little moisture it has left. It treats the hostile vacuum of the office as a set of environmental variables to be navigated, rather than a personal affront. There is a profound lesson here. The environment may be soul-crushing, but our internal architecture remains our own. The ivy's survival is a testament to the fact that even in the most sterile, controlled environments, life retains a stubborn, idiosyncratic will to be itself. This leads us to the core of Desplant Stoicism, the use of indifference as a shield. The ancient Stoics spoke of the inner citadel, a fortress of the mind that no external force could breach. The ivy lives this philosophy. It practices a quiet resistance by focusing exclusively on its internal growth while ignoring the external chaos. It does not care about the shifting corporate KPIs or the reorganization of the department. It does not grow faster because a manager is shouting into a headset nearby. It applies what Epictetus called the dichotomy of control. There are things which are within our power, and there are things which are not. For the ivy, the office politics, the flickering lights, and the fluctuating humidity are outside its control. What is within its control is the distribution of its sap and the orientation of its leaves. We can adopt this same mental wax coating. Imagine a world where toxic office politics and the frantic demands of the digital hive mind simply slide off you, leaving no mark. This isn't about being lazy or disengaged. It's about being selectively engaged. Like the ivy, we can learn to withdraw our energy from the systems that do not nourish us and reinvest it in our own internal development. When the email chain devolves into a passive-aggressive battle of egos, we can choose the ivy's path: silence, stillness, and a refusal to be moved. We become a living glitch in the system, present in body, but governed by a rhythm that the system cannot track or monetize. There is a common misconception that the office plant is dying because it is weak. I want to flip that script. In the context of 2026, the ivy's slow pace and occasional brown leaf are not signs of failure, but a deliberate rejection of the corporate demand for instant photogenic results. We are obsessed with thriving, a state usually defined by high energy, constant growth, and visible success. But the ivy teaches us the value of thriving on neglect. It practices strategic stillness in an era of 24/7 digital connectivity, where our attention is the most valuable commodity on Earth. The act of doing nothing, of simply being still, is a revolutionary act. The ivy's stubborn green leaves are a signal. They tell us that it is possible to remain vibrant, even when the surrounding culture is spiritually bankrupt. The plant doesn't need the office to be good for it to be a good plant. Its value is intrinsic. It doesn't need the validation of a Great Place to Work award. It simply exists. When we adopt this mindset, we stop looking to the corporate hierarchy to provide us with a sense of worth. We realize that our self-worth is not a metric that can be tracked on a dashboard. By embracing our own version of strategic stillness, we preserve our personal energy. We stop giving away our chlorophyll, our life force, to tasks that are designed to deplete us. We learn that sometimes the best way to win is to refuse to play the game at the speed they demand. So, how do we synthesize these lessons into a blueprint for Corporate Zen? It begins with a daily ritual of reclaiming your workspace. Your desk should not be a mere workstation. It should be a sanctuary of individual thought. When you sit down, don't immediately plug into the grid. Spend a moment with your ivy. Observe its stillness. Notice the dust on its leaf, a physical record of time passing in a place that tries to make time feel irrelevant. This is your moment of rootedness. Commit to a philosophy where your identity is independent of the fluorescent-lit hierarchy. You are not a senior associate or a project lead. You are a biological entity, a consciousness, a piece of the universe that has temporarily found itself in a cubicle. This rootedness allows you to transition from a state of mere survival to a state of flourishing. Flourishing, in the Stoic sense, doesn't mean you are happy all the time. It means you are functioning in accordance with your nature. The nature of the ivy is to grow, however slowly, toward the light. Your nature is to think, to create, and to connect. When you stop measuring your progress by the yardstick of the corporation, you find that you have more energy for the things that actually matter. You become a silent, intentional presence. You work, you fulfill your obligations, but you do so with a detachment that protects your soul. You are in the office, but you are not of the office. As we look toward the future, a world where the lines between human and machine continue to blur, the lessons of the dying office, ivy become even more vital. The ivy is a reminder that we are made of carbon, not silicone. It is a reminder that growth is often messy, slow, and invisible. It is a reminder that even in the heart of the most artificial environment, nature remains the ultimate authority. When you leave the office today, don't look at your ivy as a sad decoration. Look at it as a comrade in arms. It is fighting the same battle you are, the battle to remain itself in a world that wants it to be something else. It is resisting the pressure to be perfect, to be fast, to be optimized. And as long as there is one green cell left in its body, it is winning. The quiet collapse isn't about the end of the world. It's about the collapse of the false structures we've built around ourselves. It's about the moment the fluorescent lights flicker and we realize that we are still here, still breathing, still capable of growth. So, water your ivy, not because the office needs it to look good, but as a pact between two living things, a promise that you will both continue to resist, quietly and stubbornly, until the artificiality finally gives way to the real. In the stillness of the cubicle, under the hum of the air conditioning, let your ivy be your teacher. Be still, be rooted, be indifferent to the chaos, and in that silence, find the strength to flourish on your own terms. This is the way of the Botanical Insurgent. This is the path to Corporate Zen, and this, above all, is how we survive the vacuum.